My childhood in New Zealand was spent running fairly wild. I didn't have a lot of parental supervision. So we had woodlands that we backed into. There was a railway line that ran up the back of the house. And we just used to play up. We'd go hunting things. We'd catch things and cook them and eat them because we could. There was a hunter who lived down the road. He used to go and catch deer and all sorts of things. So it was kind of quite a roughy, toughy kind of upbringing. That kind of upbringing influences my cooking. I'm not scared to try new things. I enjoy sort of experimenting with things as well. And wild food is something that particularly intrigues me, especially in this country, in the UK, where wild food is really part of the culture, but not so popular anymore. So it's something that's coming back, I think, into UK food. I applied for Masterchef very much on the spur of the moment. I saw somebody cooking something really silly sort of on TV one time, and they were in the finals, and it just kind of made me kind of swear at the TV like I'm sure everybody does, and say I could do that. And so on the spur of the moment I applied. Along the way I learnt how to cook professionally, which is very different from amateur cooking. And so when it came to writing this book, I almost had to go backwards. So I had to take restaurant dishes that I've cooked hundreds, thousands of times and convert them back to being dishes that I could cook at home in a domestic kitchen without all the fancy tools that I'm lucky enough to have in a restaurant. My chefing now is a lot more informal. I still use the food that I used to cook at the Wild Garlic, but now I'm cooking on my own and I really enjoy it. It's a much smaller kitchen. There's only 20 or so covers in the restaurant, so I get to cook, but I also get to go out and talk to my customers, and it's a much more individual, much more personal service. The difference between a home cook and a chef is kind of the difference between a mechanic and an engineer. They're very different things. I would call myself a cook far more than I would a chef. I like to design new dishes. I like to come up with unusual flavours. A chef's someone who can cook the same food many, many times over and do it exactly the same way. It's a real skill to do that. Some chefs are also good cooks. Some good cooks are good chefs. I'd like to think of myself as a good cook and an okay chef. For fish, the cookbook, the recipes have come from my own experience. Some of the recipes I've taken from the ones I cooked on Masterchef, and a lot of them are from the restaurant. So from recipes that I've cooked hundreds of times at the restaurant. And then what I've done is I've just changed them a little bit so that they're easy enough to do at home. We've split the book into chapters, like small fish, round fish, and fish of similar types of cooking. So in the vast majority of cases you can alternate fish types. I've written the recipes to match the fish to the best possible, but if I've got a brill or a lemon sole, I would happily swap them over for each other's recipes. So my advice is go and buy the fish that you can get. Again, if you're lucky enough to have a good fishmonger, go and get some of the fish from them, and then find the recipe you like for a similar type of fish and cook that. My favourite recipe in the book is probably a crab thermidor or a lobster bisque. I won MasterChef cooking a crab thermidor, and if I ever find myself eating a last meal, lobster bisque will be the starter. For sustainability, it's really important. A lot of seafood has been overfished and is really struggling to be sustainable. So my advice on buying fish is to go to a supermarket, buy the fish that they sell, have an eye on whether it's sustainable or not, but most supermarkets, most professional fishmongers will only be selling sustainable fish these days. And if you want some of the more unusual, the more exotics that we've got in the book, go and buy some of the bycatch, the ones and twos that fishermen will catch. But you really do need a small fishmonger, or if you're really lucky like me, know someone with a boat to get those from. I love living in Dorset, just kind of look around, it's beautiful here. A night like this, early summer, the birds are singing, it's wonderful. And the seaside is amazing. There's fresh seafood to be found. I get to go diving occasionally. I've got friends who've got fishing boats. It's a wonderful place, wonderful produce. I'm very lucky.